think about when you tell your friends, I don't like pepperoni pizza, right? Your friends remember, you don't like pepperoni pizza. They make sure to order you the cheese and veggie one, right?
Can we go higher? Can we go higher?
Hi, this is Just What I Needed, episode 3. I'm Dr. Esther.
I'm Dr. Paul.
Yes, this is where you send us those questions that you don't say out loud, but that you carry with you every single day, and where we coach you on the brave next step forward.
I love it. That's exactly what we do. So here's what we've got for you today. We've got a super, super interesting, important, timely question that we've gotten actually lots of times in lots of different ways. I think it's going to be super relevant. You want to read the question?
Yes, I know I need boundaries, but I'm afraid of what will happen if I set them. I've always been the one people rely on. Ooh, I can relate to that. What did choosing myself cost me relationships? How do I set boundaries without feeling like a bad person? Ooh.
This is a big one, right? Because our people are those who are heart-led. They're givers.
You. If you're listening to this,
you're one of our people.
Heart-led. You struggle with this as much as I do.
Yeah.
And as much as Paul does. So, yes, afraid of what will happen if I set them. Okay. So
You want to talk first about boundaries?
Yes. Why don't you define the difference between a boundary and a limit?
Okay, so that's actually really important, right? And it's an interesting thing, being in Latin America, where the word limit and the same word for limit and boundary, right?
True.
So that's kind of hard, right? But in English,
But you've made the differentiation in Spanish. Though.
yes, but in English we have the luxury of having two separate words with two slightly different meanings, right? So I want you to think about a limit as your limit is your hard line. It's your yes, no. It's a binary. Like if this border that I am placing is crossed, it goes into this bucket, right? It's a hard line, yes, no.
I think they can relate to that, like estrangement. Is that what it's called?
Right.
That's like when the limit's been crossed.
This person is toxic in my life, and I'm not going to go back to that person.
Yeah, that's
right?
el límite gone.
Right.
Yeah.
However, a boundary, I want you to think about a boundary in a very literal physical sense, right? You have a space, you have a fence around your time, your energy, your money, right? And every fence has a gate. And you are the gatekeeper, right? You get to choose what comes into your space, and that's the boundary.
Yeah, and in
right?
Spanish, you made the translation that a boundary is actually el espacio.
Right. And that's exactly what it is, right? It's a space. You're creating that space, and you are deciding who is going to come into that space.
And how you want to operate in it.
And how you want to operate in it.
And so I think this is a very interesting. I'm going to look at this again, this question.
There was a lot to unpack in that question.
There was a lot to unpack. So let's start with the first one, the first part of it, right? I'm afraid what will happen if I set them. Okay, so, I mean, this kind of ties to our last episode about fear, right? So I think then the person said, where's the fear coming from, right? The fear is, I've always been the person, right? They wrote the I lied on, and choosing myself could cost me relationships, and then the bad person, right? So there's like 3 fears there. One is that they can't be rewarded for the boundary that they don't have. Second is that they're scared they're going to lose the relationships.
Right.
And the third one is they're going to be viewed as a bad person.
Right.
Okay, so let's start with the first one of always being relied on. Okay. You've always been relied on, but I know every person that lacks boundaries, which is all of us on this call, is that we've always had an explosive moment.
Like you...
I mean,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
All of you have had an explosive moment.
And I know why you brought that up.
When your boundary has not been respected and the explosive moment happens, right? That happens because when you don't have a boundary in place, resentment boils and boils and boils until you can't anymore. And then they've crossed it all the way that the space is like full. It's coming out of the gate, and now what comes out of the gate is rah, right? Okay. So I want you to rephrase it as, what happens if you don't put that boundary? Because the truth is, you're going to explode again.
Right.
There's no way around it. You're going to reach a boiling point again. And the thing is that it becomes a vicious cycle. We don't want to put the boundary because we reach that boiling point and then we think the person's going to get mad at us. And so we're like, I don't want to put the boundary because last time I put the boundary, the person exploded on me. But that's not how it worked. The person exploded on you because you changed the expectation. They weren't expecting it. And so then they reacted negatively to it. And then they reacted and then you blew up. Or you blew up and then they reacted. Whatever it is, right? So when you don't put the boundary, actually, I think there's been like studies we've even seen it, you actually lose that friend. So if you don't put the boundary, what's going to happen? I mean, I could speak to that personal experience. When I haven't put the boundary, man, one, I do explode. Second is I start to get really resentful. And I start to get really irritable. Like, you know, like I like to smile and like to have joy. And when I don't put that boundary, the joy becomes irritability and I retreat. You know, I become like, do not disturb, retreat. And it's not a good place for me.
It's not my favorite place for you at all.
It's not healthy for you and it's not healthy for the people around you. So actually by not putting that boundary, you're actually creating more hurt. So this goes to the next one about being a bad person.
Yeah.
Well, how do you define a bad person?
Before we get to that though. So like we're speaking a little bit generally about a boundary.
True.
Right? So like give an example of like what that might look like.
I mean, that's true.
I can give an example.
Yeah, let's give one because they didn't really tell us what they were. But let's talk about examples.
For one, you want to think a little bit about what is it that people are always asking you for? Like, what is it that people are always seeking you for?
Yeah.
Right? Each person has a different thing that they radiate, right? So I will tell you, for me, I know that I give off this energy of being a safe space. And I am.
Yeah.
I am 100% a safe space, right? And so, but people know that, people feel that, right? And that's a very different energy from Esther, right? So Esther has a solution energy. Like if you've got an issue, you're not sure how to get through it, you've got something that you're working for, but you're coming up against roadblocks, that's the girl you want to talk to, right?
Exactly.
But if you're feeling unsafe, you're feeling unsure, those are the people that tend to come to me, right? However, that means that I carry that weight, right? I carry the weight of that person's burden as well, right? That's when we talk a lot about.
And that's a very different, like that kind of goes with the person's question.
Yeah,
that's what you're relied on, right? So when
that's what I'm relied on for, right?
When that person said, "I'm the one who relies on," how they rely on you
is different.
Is different
for sure. But it's a weight that you carry.
Absolutely.
Right?
However it is that you give it.
It's a weight that you carry. And there's a point where the boundary, I have to decide, right? There's only so much that I can hold on to for people. Like it sounds very fluffy to say that you hold space for people, but the truth is that that's exactly what that is. I'm sharing your emotional weight with you.
And I'm carrying it.
That's
what people don't realize. I'm sorry, so many of us, I know all of us here, struggle with sleep. So, because we're carrying the worries of other people. So the minute you let them into your boundary box, you're carrying it for them. You know, whether you like it or not, you are. And also when you go dumping on someone else, you know now that they're carrying your worries for you too.
Right.
And so that's the relying.
Yeah.
That's relying.
So what's the boundary? The boundary, sometimes for me, in my case, sometimes it's I have to choose who I'm going to respond to. I'm going to choose
whose weight you want to carry.
Whose weight I want to carry, right? I have to choose
that you can carry.
What venue am I going to interact with this person in, right?
Yeah.
And all of that.
And it could be the weight that you can carry. Sometimes it's not even about, like, I want this myth to be like dispelled. It's not about whether you care about someone more or things like that, right? So if someone puts a boundary on you, it doesn't necessarily mean that, they care for you less. Sometimes it's just about something that they have to carry for you could be triggering to them. So for example, like I remember, like something that triggers, like I can't carry people's anxieties, for example. because I'm an anxious person. So if someone calls me and is like, oh, their worst case scenario, I can't hold it. Because I am natural, you know what I mean? Like I can prone to go down that hole and I avoid that hole. So I already know I can't carry that for someone else. And that's from my own thing. It doesn't mean I don't care about them. It just puts me in a bad space, right?
Right.
And it's the same thing. Like if you, and it's tied to your values. We haven't talked about this, but like, so how do you discern, right? So if you have like, if you value financial stability, for example, people might ask you for money. And you may like want to give money for a certain cause, but not all causes. And that's where the boundary is, because you are going to, because you're giving the money, depending on what other things you value. If you value discipline, you're going to want to know if they fall through with it. If you value service, like I do, you're going to want to know they put it to a good cause. And so it's going to boil resentment if they use that money for something that's not in alignment with your values, right? Or so everything's about this alignment to your energy, to your values, to your things. So it's really important to know what drains me and what energizes me, because the person's only going to see, like with some financial stability, that they're good with finances and that they have money that they can give away, or they're good with it. Oh, so they must love to, since they're good with it, they can help me, so they can give me money or show me money. But it could be very energetically draining for you. Or maybe you already doing that for your parents and you can't do it for your friends because you're at capacity. So people can't read your mind either. So that's where the boundary is really important, because they just see that value in you. Or maybe you're the one telling your friends, I do this for my parents. And they're like, oh, if you do it for your parents, you can do it for me. They don't know that your box is full or how much energy that takes.
Right.
So,
I mean, am I hearing you say then though that a boundary isn't a boundary if you keep it to yourself?
Oh, absolutely, right? Absolutely. You have to communicate it, right? So I think the first thing, right, I'm trying to go back to this question, right, is I'm afraid what will happen. Well, one is you can't live in that. You should be afraid if I don't put that boundary, what's going to happen, because you will explode. You will drain yourself out. You will then retreat. You will become resentment. Worse things are going to happen if you don't set it than if you set it. So that's the first thing. The second one, you're always been the person rely on. It's not that you're not going to be relied on. It's how do you want to be relied on?
And when.
And also there's certain things that are going to energize you. So like let's say you have financial stability, right? Maybe them giving away money is draining, but helping people plan their budget gives you energy. So you can say, I can't give you money, but I can sit down with you and do your budget. So you are still being the person they relied on, but in the way that is energetically lights you up. So like, I think like about service, right? Like, I like giving service. Like I like volunteering. I like helping refugees. That lights me up. But just because of service doesn't mean that all pro bono activities are the same.
Right.
And that light me up the same. No. So I only have so much space that I can give to the things that don't light me up, and I need the things that light me up. And then you make room to do more of those lighting up, right? So like what's in yours and one of your values that lights you up? Oh, I guess like growth.
Growth is my number one value, right?
Teaching.
I love teaching. So I love sharing of myself when I know that it's going to help the other person grow.
Exactly.
Right? But I was thinking about it. So like we both have coached the refugees, right? Like I know that I love coaching the refugees because I know I can see it day to day, week to week. They're taking what I have shared with them and they're putting it into practice, right? And like for me, that feels really good, right? Knowing that these are that my service, what I'm giving of myself is actually being put into action, right? But I guess my question is, what do you get out of coaching the refugees? Like, what does it feel like for you?
For me, it's seeing them understand their power and light, because if they're in that program, I know they're already people that are doing it. But for me, it's that like I like giving to them because, well, there's a couple things. I also value appreciation. So they're very like appreciative of it. And so because they're appreciative of it, they put it into practice. And then because they also put it into practice, not only do they put it into practice, they also go with it like 3,000% and
Yeah.
make their vision a reality, right? Because there's nothing to lose. It's like a mindset thing. And I think that's for me the key. So that's aligned with my values, is someone who's like self-actualization, who one, they learn to be vulnerable to, because I help them like tell their story. I let them see their light. You know, people always laugh because I'm always like, I made them cry. And they're like, why do you love making people cry? It's not that I love making people cry. It's that crying, when they cry, it's like this release of like, it's that they felt seen.
Right.
And for the first time. And they're now clear of their power that they always knew was inside them, but finally someone saw their power that they always knew they had and articulated it in a way that they couldn't articulate themselves. And now I gave that to them, and now they can run with it, right? And so I love that. I love that. So it lights me up. But there's other pro bono activities that don't light me up, you know, that you give time and then the person doesn't take and do anything with it.
And the thing is that the person who is this person, right? You're the heart-driven person.
Yeah.
You're the giver. You're asked for this constantly.
Exactly. So it matters. That alignment matters.
Yeah.
Is it aligned with my value? Is it how I want to give? Because if you're always giving in the way that just people are seeking you for, that's also you not communicating how you want to be sought out for. That's also a you problem. You know, and I think that's what I realized years ago. I used to be sought out for all events. Like, I think that's a really good example. Like planning, just events, because I used to throw events at work, like the humanitarian, a lot of VIP events and events for my team. However, I would do that as a way of bringing people together, right? Like if people are brought together, they're more motivated, but it was still about the mission and vision, right? Of what we were building together. But that doesn't mean I want to throw events. You know what I mean? Like on a day-to-day basis. No, I don't like to throw my kids' birthday parties. My kids already know that. There are no birthday parties.
They have learned.
Like, you know, like if you want to, then you throw it yourself, you make it happen, but I don't want to do that. Or like Thanksgiving. I will help my sister throw Thanksgiving, but I'm not hosting Thanksgiving, you know? But that's a boundary, right?
Yeah.
Like, it seems funny, but I make a joke out of it, but it's really a boundary where I'm like, my kids, I have that boundary. I'm not throwing birthday parties to you. And my sister already knows she loves throwing events, but that's what's great about it. She loves it, and she just needs someone to help her. And I'm happy to help, but I don't want to throw it or host it. But that's a good team, right? And
right.
and the same thing, like, you know, with us, right? And so that is part of you're actually, and let me do this myth thing, you're actually doing boundaries all the time. By saying things you like and don't like, those are boundary settings.
Those are boundaries, yeah.
Even when you're saying, I want to go to the movies, or I like restaurants like this, those are boundary settings. I think we need to normalize that when you are communicating how you like things and what you don't like. Think about when you tell your friends, I don't like pepperoni pizza, right? Your friends remember, you don't like pepperoni pizza. They make sure to order you the cheese and veggie one, right? I mean, in a way, that's a boundary.
May or may not be real.
That's true. I don't really. I mean, yeah, it's true. I like the cheese and veggie, but that's a type of boundary setting.
For
like,
sure.
I mean, just even pizza. But we've gotten into this conversation in society that boundaries makes you high maintenance, or that's not cultural. You're counseling Latino culture, or like whatever culture you're at. And I think we need to change that conversation, that boundaries is just communicating how you want to be sought out for in a much deeper level.
Right.
And that all these things accumulate. But it's just hard for us sometimes to articulate them, because there are like things that, you know, it's not around pizza or, you know, things. But let's make it that it's just as normal as talking about the pizza you like, the ice cream you like, and all those things. Because if you knew your friend did not like pepperoni pizza, would you buy her pepperoni pizza? No, unless you were doing like prank on her, right? So if you knew that, or them or he, if you knew that, you wouldn't do it. So it's the same thing. If your friends really love you, they're going to get you the pizza you want, you know, and make you happy with that. And maybe that they like certain ice cream. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to want to make sure and accommodate the ice cream they like, the flavor they like, when you can. So it's a type of caring. So if a person cuts you off most of the time we've seen is when a person cuts you off on boundaries, it's because you didn't set that expectation and they feel that they've been lied to their whole life, you know?
Right.
And they feel that shock. But if you do it little by little and we start having normalized conversations, we start understanding on a deeper level who we are, the values we have, we start having those day-to-day conversations with our friends and normalize that, then the need to have to remind people on the boundaries is not going to be needed. But we need to have more than just these superficial conversations, which we have with people all the time. And when we are venting, explain why that bothered us. So when you're venting about, oh my God, my mom called me for the 50th time for XY's help on her bills or something, why don't you like that? Is it that you don't like helping people on bills? Or is it that you don't want to be called? Or is it that she complains when you call? Be specific so that your friend understands what is it that you don't like about that. Or in a positive way, if you're like, I helped this person and that felt great, what did you like about that? So then your friend doesn't just start calling you for that too, because they're like, oh, they liked it, it lit them up. Oh, that means I can call her about everything. And that gets really confusing with me, because we're like, oh, Esther loves volunteering, so let me put her on every committee. No. I don't want to be on every committee. But it's confusing.
I get the same thing. Everybody knows that I'm a strategist. Oh,
Yeah.
I need a strategy. Let's call Paul. Right?
Yeah. Or like you're the breathwork guy, so that means let me dump on you all the time.
Right.
And that's not necessarily true, right? You want to, like you just said, you want to help the people with breathwork one if it's their first time, because that's teaching, or when they're intro.
Yeah.
And you also like helping people with breathwork that are going to take that pain into something positive, right?
Right.
So
there's going to be transformation,
exactly,
impact from it.
But that
movement.
doesn't mean that you want to hear everyone's marital problem. I
mean,
you can hold a certain space for it, but not everyone's.
So I'm going to geek out for just a moment, right? But
Okay.
I see everything as economics. So what I'm hearing and what I know is true is that the demand for who you are and what you give is much larger than your capacity, than your supply,
Yes.
right? Which means that you are constantly in what we call disequilibrium. You're
Yes.
unbalanced, right?
Yeah.
There's pushing and pushing and pushing. So one of the things that when you talk about, for example, communicating it and showing people and telling
Yes.
people about it, it's letting people know
Yes.
my capacity for supply is not infinite.
Exactly.
Right? And then
Exactly.
and then that gap, that disequilibrium, you have to close it somehow.
Yeah.
You have to close it, right? Either it's going to be you explode, you never said anything, you explode, and then the whole market crumbles.
Yes.
Right? That's never good.
That is the cost of not putting the boundary.
That's the cost of not putting the boundary.
Yes.
Or understanding, I mean, one of the things that we've talked about is knowing what it is, as you said, that lights you up.
Exactly.
That gives you pleasure. That sort of
Yes.
actually feeds what you love to do, right?
Yes.
That's a way to bring that disequilibrium smaller.
And that's why knowing your values is so important. Like, we have a free values quiz. Anybody who wants it can get in touch with us, because when you know your top 10 values, that's when you can say, oh, this is the diamond side. This is what I love about it. This is the whole realm of what people seek me out for it. And then when you know the whole realm of what people seek without you, that one value, what gives me energy and what drains you.
Right.
And that can change over time. Like I was saying, like in my past life, right? I don't like saying past life is kind of confusing.
Your past life.
Okay, in my
Some
last
people might take you
job,
literally.
no, and that's happened before. In the last job, right, with events, it was, how do you say that with events? Like, it was something that I enjoyed, because like I said, it was about the mission vision, but I didn't go into like depth on what that meant. But then in the future, like now, it's changed, right?
Right.
So these are constant conversations, right? Or even like, let's go back to the pizza.
I like the pizza
Let's go
theory
back
of
to the
boundaries.
pizza. Let's
I
go
like
back
it.
to
I
the
think we need to
pizza.
patent that.
Because, no, but let's seriously go back to the pizza, right? I may not like pepperoni for 3 years, and all of a sudden, I started loving pepperoni. You know what I mean? Like that's what the events, right? Like, I used to love them, and now I'm like, unless they are certain type of things, I don't want to do them, right?
Yeah.
Whatever. But with pizza, the same thing. There are flavors of pizza that I have grown to like later. So your boundaries are also, I think we need to understand that and not resent people for that. And when you have these conversations, when people feel like, oh my God, I've been lied to my whole life, it's not that. It's like, you know what? I'm in a new season in my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because tastes evolve, things evolve, right? And so we expect people to stay stagnant. And like even before, I used to love logistical things. But my capacity of logistical things now that I have a social enterprise is way less, right? So the box is full now. So I can't have that same love for it like I used to have it.
Right.
Like the pizza, right? So I think part of this boundary conversation that's why I'm meaning about having these constant conversations with your family and friends. Like we need to change those Thanksgiving conversations, not around, did you gain weight? Did you do this? But like,
¿Y la novia?
Oh my God. But it's more like, what are you into right now? How can I support you? What season are you in? Because it changes and people, you have a new vision, you have a new change. The world has changed. I mean, this year has been...
Which means that sometimes you have to be the cycle breaker. You have to be the trailblazer. You have to be the one to start having that different conversation.
Yes. But having it constantly, because if you are talking about this constantly and like letting people know, hey, I'm doing this new thing, I'm going to this new thing, it should not cost you your relationships. And maybe you need to give them some space a little bit to process it, because maybe for them, they've also been in this box their whole life, and so they don't understand the fluidity yet, but doesn't mean they won't understand it later. I mean, when we started our social enterprise, people didn't understand it at first. We gave them some space. We made new friends in Australia, which was awesome. And then they came around, and then now they're a part of it. And now we can have these fluid conversations. So it's not, it doesn't mean we were gonna put the limit and be like, oh my God, you don't support us right now. You're strange. No, it was more like, you don't understand right now. We need positivity. That's the boundary. So when you're ready, come.
I think something that you just said is two things really important.
Yeah.
One, you choose who comes into your space. You choose the energy that comes into your space, right? If you are in a place where you're doing something different, you're doing something innovative, you're doing something that you know is for you, from you, and yet maybe you don't have those voices around you, it's okay for you to set that boundary. Like, these are not the voices I need right now. And I'm going to look for the positive voices that are going to come in.
And sometimes the person doesn't even know they're not being positive. You can just say, like, on the phone and be like, hey, look, you know what? I really struggle with my mental health. Or, like, I already have those thoughts in my mind. I need support and positivity from you.
Right.
You know what? I've had people put that boundary on me, too. Like, when I'm like, have you thought about these scenarios? They're like, I can't handle that. And I'm like, okay. There's positivity. And because sometimes when, we're human, we have hard times too. And this year that I was having a hard time, I know with some of my friends, I was like, I was kind of projecting some of that right in February, March. And they're like, I can't handle that. I need positive Esther.
Right.
I'm like, okay, when positive Esther's ready, I'll come back to you. Right. And it took me a couple months and then I circled back to them. So, and I think that's okay. And so I think it goes to that question. You should never feel like a bad person. So do you feel bad if you like a certain type of pizza or a certain type of ice cream? Or if you like movie dates?
Well,
you shouldn't, right?
How do you feel about pineapple on pizza? It's a divisive issue.
Oh my
I think
God,
there are people
love it.
who put limits.
I love it.
Not boundaries, limits.
I love pineapple pizza. So... And you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make you a bad person. People might look at you going, that's a little crazy, right? But if they care about you and love you, they might think it's a little crazy, like the pineapple pizza, but they shouldn't cut you off. And if they cut you off, then, there's a lot of nuances. How did you tell them? Did you set the clear expectation? Did you blow up on them, right? If you said it in a rational way, set clear expectations, kind about it, let me just put that caveat. Not everyone's going to respect what you say. Sometimes you have to act on it, but you'll learn that through trial and error. Paul, you can just say it.
Say it.
I have to say it and then not respond if they do it, or hang up, or I got to go not respond. And then the person starts to understand through my action, because that is how I respond. How people know me is through action.
Yeah.
People know you through my words.
Yeah.
So that boundary is also gonna, so I can sit there and martyr and say, no one listens or respects my boundary, but am I acting on it? And that's the next nuance, right? If I'm not acting on it, it's not going to be respected, because how am I respected? That's the analysis. I'm respected through my actions. Paul is respected through his words. So that's part of the analysis.
So
right?
let me ask you to go a little deeper though, because you've hinted at this a couple of times. Sometimes you'll feel like you've done everything right. You've communicated the boundary.
Yes.
You've done it as kindly as possible.
Yeah.
But then that boundary is still disrespected.
Yes.
Then
But
what?
that's the action.
That's
I
the
just
action, right?
Don't respond anymore.
Right.
And then the person gets the hint, and then the person changes the conversation, talks about something else, you respond. But if, or if they call and say, how come you haven't called? Be like, the last couple of texts have been around the thing that I told you I'm not doing anymore. So, yeah, what's up? You know what I mean? You just say it like that. It's not even about being mean. It's not about fighting. It's just like, hey, the last couple of times you've talked to me has been the things that I was saying that I'm no longer doing. And they might say, oh my God, I honestly forgot, because we have to have that empathy and space for that. Everyone has 100 billion things going on.
Yeah.
So if they told you, oh my God, I forgot, take their word for it and be like, oh, that's okay. But just so you know that anytime you message me about that, I'm not going to respond to it, because I just can't carry that. Okay, cool.
I would add to this conversation that these boundaries, I mean, we've hinted at it also, but these boundaries also apply with family. It's not just friends, it's not just colleagues.
No.
It also applies with family.
I mean, I have been applying that too, yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking about like this whole conversation though. Like one of the big boundaries that I have is with my mom, right? So like my parents separated several years ago, and so I know now basically that there was a lot of really difficult dynamics that were happening there. And one of them is that basically now I have to choose how I'm going to interact with my mom. So I definitely have boundaries with my mom.
You also put boundaries around her about, like, don't talk about my dad.
But that's what I'm saying. So, and actually I was thinking about that. So like, exactly. So she knows that actually I have a hard line limit.
Yeah.
That if she's going to talk about my dad, I'm going to hang up on her. It's a binary thing. If she brings him up, we're not having that conversation anymore, right? So it's tough.
Exactly.
It's hard sometimes, but
they get through,
They get through it. They learn to respect the boundary and the limit.
If they care about that relationship.
If they care
with
about
you.
that relationship.
So if anything, like that goes back to that question,
Yeah.
right? Are you gonna lose people? Those people were never yours then.
Yeah.
They were never part of your round table. Like if you do it kindly and you do that and you explain it, and it's still disrespected, and even after that, like they get mad and they cut you off, they were never part of your
Yeah.
They were never close to you or your circle. Right? Because your circle wants to do better. They don't want to hurt you.
Yeah.
And they want to learn from you. Right? And so when people care about that, sometimes it's just the blind spot.
Yeah.
I mean, she stopped. I mean, even like my mom, I went through boundaries too, but it was more that, like, my sister's the person like she can go to vent to, but not, I don't want to be vented at about anything. I can't hold that space. And so I started to be like, call me about support, ideas. She's great. Like she has an MBA. She's so smart, right? So I love her when she comes to my ideas, and I love talking to her about that and the kids and what they're up to. Let's have those conversations. That's what I want my mom for. But I don't want the vent. But I know she needs that. But that's when you can have a team with your siblings, where even like we triage different things. Like I'm like Sonia, my sister, she's emergency. I am the logistical person, right? And so even that triage, emergency you call her, little things you call me. But it's nice because my sister does not want to be called. That's her boundary for little things. I don't want to be called for emergencies. Stresses me out. So that's where you can come as a team.
Yeah.
So even like that, if we hadn't put that boundary, both my sister and I would be miserable, and my mom, because then she wouldn't understand why she's pushing us away. And in this system of clear communication and making it work, we all have a system that functions for us.
I mean, that's really important though, right? That this idea that at the end of the day, boundaries are a kindness.
They are kind. And it's not just a direct, like I always say, saying no is kind, right? But sometimes it's not even a no. It's a redirection.
Yeah.
It's a no, not right now. No in this season. Every season's different. Like this year was completely different for us.
Right.
And so what we had to put boundaries around were things we had never had to put boundaries around before.
Our charitable giving.
Yeah, it
rough.
changed, right? Because the other years it was like, of course, like pro bono left and right. The 30% we only used up to 30%. And in this year it was pushed to like 30% was gone pretty fast, But so we had to think about it. It was a new situation we were in. And I think a lot of people are put in these new situations. You might even start a new job. And all of a sudden, like, you bring in this solution that's never been there before. Everyone's going to be knocking on your door, which maybe in a job you had before, no one, maybe there was tons of people with your same superpower. And so you weren't oversaturated. But then all of a sudden in this new position, you're completely oversaturated. And so you have to be like, whoa, it's too much. So it changes.
Yeah.
But it's definitely kind.
It is.
And
it's kind, one, because it's honest and it's authentic,
honest,
but it's
exactly.
also a kindness because at the end of the day, once you set that boundary on who you are and what you're going to give, it makes it sustainable.
Yeah,
right? It makes it so that you're not burning out, you're not resenting other people, you're bringing yourself into equilibrium.
Exactly. And plus, like, it lowers your anxiety and stress.
Exactly.
Like I think, like, remember when we started, our first boundary was around positivity. And so we blocked and removed everyone on Instagram that was negative and toxic. And our account became completely positive. And it still is. Like, there's now to the point that it runs smoothly. Like, I never have to delete anyone because everyone already knows my account is positive.
Yeah.
So I don't get any negative things. But I mean, the first year was hard on that, right? Because, before we were more public, like in a work world. And so that type of naysayer challenging you is part of the environment. But I was like, you know what? The energy I need right now, especially if starting something, this is where it talks about the energy you need changes. I needed complete positivity because, when you're starting something, you're doubting yourself. You already have those voices. That was the first boundary successfully made. Then the boundary came around everyone around us. And then then later it was about the people we want to work with. So next boundary, that's why you're listening, was about being people heart-led.
Right.
So like every time it evolves. It evolves. And at the end, it helps people know these are my people. I belong here. And so actually the boundary has made our channel great. The people we serve really aligned. It allows us to be constantly being able to give more and to give more. And yeah. So I think it's something you have to do.
I mean, and I want to remind you, if you're out there listening, if you're listening to this show, it's because you're a giver, and because you're a heart-led person. And so I don't want in any way for you to diminish that light that you are in the world, right? That you are here, you are here for that, right?
Yes.
And if anything, this message, I hope, is telling you that maybe you need to be smarter about it. But that absolutely, this is who you are, and find those things that light you up, right? Maybe you talked about it earlier. That feeling when you see the person grow, that feeling when you know that you've made a difference with the time or the energy or the money that you have put out there is incredible.
Exactly.
It's the why.
And I think that goes exactly to that question they were saying, like, oh, will I lose people? Well, those weren't your people. And I think also there's another thing I want to say to people is that it's a light. That's why people love you. But there's a place for you to give that giving to. So I remember what the person said, I'm everyone that people rely on, but let's change the people who rely on you.
Yeah.
To people who are the energetic, like the people who light you up. Because sometimes people are attached to your overgiving. And it's the wrong people. It's the extractive people. And so by you putting a boundary, you're actually taking your life. I won't forget that when we traveled, do you remember, to Penn State, and we met this guy randomly at breakfast. People were attached to him, and we talked to everybody. So we met this guy, and we ended up coaching him and the waitress, okay? It was an awesome session, awesome breakfast. And he told us people were attached to him and his overgiving, but using it for like toxic reasons.
Things,
very toxic things, and abusing him,
like borderline illegal things,
and abusing him for it, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, he felt like his heart was a weakness, and I'm like, imagine cutting that off and giving your giving to help people propel themselves forward rather than like these people were using his overgiving and using the money he gave to like do horrible things and like, you know, like use like the things they would give him and like put his name. It was just terrible. But imagine if he could channel that. We were telling him like to people who could use it, great. And actually he was doing it there because he was actually like helping the other girl out and how much he lit up. So sometimes like the people that were giving, it's almost like a clutch sometimes, and like we like that, oh, we're giving them, but it could actually be hurting that person, and they could be just attached to the over giving and not really to you or really care about you. And so when you switch it, the energetic alignment, then the people who rely on you and the people you want them to rely on you, that will propel forward. Like the people I love is the people I've been following for 20 years, you know, that I've mentored.
Yeah.
I've seen them grow from like, I've coached people from like high school, I've gone to college, graduate school, you know, like now working and starting their own things. Though that's amazing, right? That's the right person. I'm seeing them through their whole journey. They contact me every 5 years, you know, when they're on a new life transition. But they're the right person. They're the people I do want to overgive to, right? And that's great. But then there's other people, we all have them, that we gave them, and we're like, we should have given up on that a long time because it was almost like a safety clutch rather than propelling, and it was actually hurting them more than really helping them. Right.
Are you creating dependence or actually moving them forward? After you've done or given or whatever, if you have that thought of, man, what was the opportunity cost of this? Like, what could I have done with this time instead?
Yes.
What could I have done instead with this money?
And if you feel that,
then you know that's not the alignment for you.
Or is this gonna upset me if I give them my money and the time, and they're not gonna do what I expect them to do with it? If this is going to upset me, and I'm not 100% they can push through with how I want it, that's a no.
That's a no.
If you know by helping them, you're 100% that they're going to take that forward, that's a yes. And you know it. And so when we still give it, it's because of either trauma, obligation, something else. And I just want to like end with this type of thing is like the boundaries don't have to be dramatic.
Right.
They don't. Like it becomes dramatic when we don't give it. But it can be just something like, let me think about that. You know, I can help this way, but not that way. Let me sit on it. Let me look at my schedule. And you don't have to respond right away. I think like overgivers, and I have this problem, is like we want to like right there, solucionar, right there. And for us, we need to learn to sit with our gut. Is this a hell yes, hell no? And if it's a hell yes, still wait 24 hours to respond, you know? And then respond with how you're going to help it. So you can decide at that moment whether it's hell yes or no, but then wait the 24 hours and to explain concretely how you can help. And people respond really well to that, actually.
Yeah.
That, it sounds like you're going through this. I can't help through this, but I can help through that. And now when people ask me for money, I'm like, I can't help you with money, but I can connect you to a resource. I can connect you to this because I'm tapped out.
And honestly, sometimes people think that money is always the solution.
It's not.
You know, a lot of times people need mentorship, information.
Exactly.
They need something else.
And actually, people responded to me like that. Actually, I just need help with understanding how to open a GoFundMe or a crowdsourcing, or actually, like in our case, as we move to our next step, right? Mentorship is much more valuable.
Yeah.
And if we were to create
money's nice.
No,
Don't
but
get
if
me
we
wrong,
were to
money's
create an
nice.
ask,
Yeah, for sure.
it would be around mentorship,
It's true.
right? It's not
Yeah.
always around that, right? And not everybody's sought out for that. Or if people seek you out for logistics, what kind of system can you create around that can make it more efficient? I mean, there's just so many little things. Like, guess what? I can't do all these logistical things for you every day, but I can do it every 2 weeks, or I could do it the next time I'm in town, right? It's not a no. It's just like, this is when I can. And then if they need it before, they will either find someone else or wait for you.
Yeah.
And so that's what we can say about boundaries.
So I feel like you've given a lot of strategies on how to set boundaries.
Yes.
I think you've given a lot of really cool alternatives
Yes.
Right? That it's not. I like that idea that it's not always a no. And I think that's what
Exactly.
people fear a lot, right? That a boundary always means no, and there's other ways to do it, other ways to say it.
It's not always black and white.
It's not always black and
we
white.
have that too. Like we that's why I say it's a conversation, right? We do repairs at my parents' house when we're there, right? Because mainly also because it's not easy to do when you're far.
Who's we?
You, okay, you. But like, I do the other little things. But it's also because in terms of stress and anxiety, because you can't like, it's really hard to manage from far away. It's easier when you're in person.
Yeah.
And then we just have the list when we get there, and it works out great. You know, it works out great for both parties. But that's part of putting that. It's a type of boundary, but it's a conversation. Like, this is what works.
Yeah.
But if you need it beforehand, or if it's an emergency, you have this other alternative, right?
Right.
And I think it's the same thing. Like, and that's a way to triage it. Is this an emergency? Is it not an emergency? But only you know based on your values, right? And what it aligns, and how people respect that and don't respect that. And if you're someone that gives away money, make sure that you are budgeting, that you are not giving more than your percentage, and people will understand if you're tapped out. And they can find other ways, or it could be, I can't give you 100, but I can give you 10. You know, I'll Venmo you $10, whatever. People understand that too, and they go on to someone else. So it's like that. So I think there's a way to be like, if somebody asks me, then I'm just going to give 10, and maybe I'll give $1,000 a year, whatever it is. But it's come up with that number, with that budget, what's that boundary for you, so you're also not depleting yourself. Because I have seen a lot of posts where people like give away all their money.
Yeah.
And
I mean, we have friends like that.
yeah, and you can't, because then how are you growing? The more you can invest and grow yourself, the more you can give. There should be a percentage. It's kind of like when you have the percentage of how your rent ratio should be to your income, there needs to be a giving ratio as well, right? Like ours is 30%, yours could be 10, 20. You have to have a cap. Because if not, then you need to invest in your own growth and your own retirement, your own stuff as well. And people also, that gives people a clear expectation too of like, you have a cap.
Right.
As well. You're not this endless fountain resource as well.
So I want to, as we get to the end of our time here, I want to switch to a different side of this conversation. Because
Okay.
a lot of what we've talked about so far has been what I would call almost the defensive side, right? Like I'm guarding myself and all of this.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But what I want people to understand is that, and at least I think for both of us, the benefits of having created these boundaries and enforced them and taught people about them have been massive, right? Like you mentioned, it gives you anxiety to not have the boundary. Having the boundary brings that anxiety way
Oh, yeah.
down.
I mean, that's
right?
what I was kind of alluding to with our first year of making our channel all positive, is that, one, it allows me to be visible on social media. I don't have fear around posting. I don't have fear around stories. It makes me feel relaxed, and allows me to have community, and it gives me like a positive spin on social media. That's a very big positive.
It's a big positive.
The other positive, I think, what I was saying about even like the family stuff, that's a huge positive on your end, because you can have like a conversation without feeling stressed. We can go, we can have our life here and go to my parents' house and help them with repairs. It helps them, it helps us. We're no stress. I have a good relationship with my mom. Boundaries with the kids, with the birthday parties, no stress for me. It's like they don't feel disappointment. We know, like everyone knows. And so
but
all those
also
things
people,
have positives.
People start to learn also what it is that you want to be sought out for.
Absolutely.
You frankly start to put out a different kind of energy, right? People
Exactly.
you start to attract the energy that is the energy that you want to
and
bond with.
you have to communicate it,
which
like,
means that the giving that you do is also much more satisfactory too.
exactly.
Right? So,
And then like your friends can help connect you to opportunities, your family things. So there's a lot of opportunity, but it comes to communication. It comes like, tell them the pizza you like.
tell them the pizza you like. The pizza theory
The
comes
pizza
back. I like how
theory,
you
yes.
circled that back.
They need to know the pizza topping you like, right? And that's like, it goes into all the things so that people can connect you to that and how you want to be sought out. I always ask people before I recommend them an opportunity, or anything, I ask them, like, is this in alignment with you? Do you want these type of opportunities? And take that time to practice that with other people too, so you can help them set boundaries too with you. Because you may be sending them unsolicited advice that they do not want, So all you heart-led people, it's also kind to you initiate that conversation. It might not even be about you and you setting a boundary with them. Learn about other people's boundaries. Ask them what they want a boundary on, what they want to be sought out for, what they don't want to be sought out for. And if you let them talk first and learn theirs and implement theirs, then that's an in for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's like very natural, very giving. Like that's having like listening and being open and helping them, and you help your, and then reciprocal.
I hope somebody asks us a question about listening at some point. I would love to do an episode on deep listening.
We'll see. I mean, now we put it out there for the world for them to answer.
Bug planted.
But it's true, right? If you ask someone the boundaries they want, then that's an opening for you after to talk about. That's what I'm saying about these open, deep conversations. We need to have more of those and make it normal. That it feels good.
Yeah.
And it feels open. I mean, I want people to like I love tarot, That's a pizza topping I like now.
I'll have the extra large tarot pizza.
Extra large tarot. But not just on a spiritual sense, on a scientific sense, right? Like scientifically, those images, the scientists by training, all those things tell you, like they talk to your deep subconscious for the next 6 months to 12 months. So regardless I'm also woo-woo, right? So I like the spiritual stuff too, but I like the spiritual and the science, but I think if I like both those things with that and opening that conversation, it allows me to get closer to my friend or anybody, or even to you and the kids, right? Having this conversation over the cards, and it allows for deeper connection. So that's a pizza topping I like right now, right? So, and I go through phases, and you're right now really into breath work. Right, and that's the pizza you like right now, right? You want people to seek you out for that, to teach that.
Correct.
And all those things. And so that's the pizza topping right now. So people, knowing those things, right? So,
I want everybody to know that we did not talk about pizza at all before we had this conversation.
It just came to me.
Look at that. That's amazing.
I was thinking of an easy way to explain it, So I kind of like this. I feel like we need to add it to all of our stuff.
I think we should. I think it's good.
I like it. Yeah. So before we close, if you notice at the beginning of the podcast, there was this beautiful song called Higher. That was written to us by a dear friend, Kingsley. And
who's an incredible musician.
Artist and musician. So,
and breathwork practitioner, I might add.
Yes, true. And if it resonated with you, you can listen to the full song. We put everything in the notes. Check it out. And again, we're going to be playing the rest of the song at the end. But it's a beautiful piece. She has amazing other songs and music. So I definitely encourage you. And then I also want to give a shout out to Ruby Garcia, because this conversation was about boundaries and we're about community building. We have some boundaries in our workbook, and we can definitely send it along the way. Anybody who wants it, a free Kindle code. This is not about selling, it's about serving. But Ruby has also an amazing boundaries workbook. She does psychotherapy and hypnosis, and has this amazing that goes even to more depth, because the workbook's all just about boundary, her workbook. So I want to give a shout out to her. I'll put the link in the show notes to her LinkedIn. She has really good resources on boundaries if this is something you're struggling with. And so we want to do this more often. Every part of our show is to refer people to other amazing, Black and brown folks or women or whatever, doing this type of work too, that have amazing resources that have also benefited us.
Totally.
Awesome. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye. It's just what you needed.
So here we go. Paving my own way. Seeing light even on the darkest of days. I trust myself and know my worth. There is nothing go higher? Can we go higher? Together, we're better to dream bigger and louder. Can we go higher? Can we go higher? Can we go higher? Together, we're better to dream bigger and louder.